Good morning, traders. So we're still using the Bill-Williams theory and looking at the DAX this morning. Now, yesterday was pretty interesting. We had a nice bullish day and we rallied pretty much off the previous low and we broke the previous day's high. It's 224-point rally. However, for me at the moment, I want to check the monthlies here. I suppose the level is pretty much this one here. So there's my swing high, my fractional. That's the most logical one, and that's what we're flirting with at the moment. Oops, that's too far. 4 hour. Okay, so that weekly level, you can see how significant it is. If you look at the 4 hour, we do have a break above the alligator. But look at the oscillator here. Okay, so that's not a really good sign. The other thing is we have broken this fractional, so technically this should be a long entry with a stop below here. I don't like the looks of the oscillator, so I'd like to see a pullback. Okay, there is a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here. So yeah, bit of confusion for me at the moment. So let's just get down. Maybe it'll become clearer at the lower time frames. So for the hour, you can see how we gapped below the alligator, flirted with it, sold off, and then rallied. Now, the DAX futures at the moment is pretty flat, 10,527. So that's somewhere around there, am I right? 10,575, 10,525. So at the moment, we've got a very big gap down. Okay. The price is hovering around this area here. So what you'll find here, we'll do it here, in fact, is that we have just got a channel breakout at the moment. Okay, so I'm kind of on the fence with the DAX at the moment. You know, the Dow is pretty clear that there's a clear short there. The Aussie, there's also a fairly clear short at the moment, but I think the DAX for me this morning, I'm expecting a gap down. The question is whether we are going to break through this alligator or not. Okay, I'd like to see us break through the alligator and then get an entry. At this stage, I think I'll have to say my bias is to the downside. So what we're looking for on this is obviously a gap down. I then want to see a rally back up, maybe in that first hour of trading or the first hour of pre-market, to see a bit of a rally up. Come and pick up either the gap close or this 200 moving average. So it would be nice to see 10,600 get tagged again, and then we look for an entry short. If you look at this, this is telling me on all the time frames that I need to be looking for a short. Okay, and there is diversions between there and there. So between this high here and yesterday's high, and if we look there, you see what I mean. So the oscillator's making new highs, and we're basically making a lower high at the moment. And from there to there's also diversions. So it's from this point to that point. Okay, so a few warning signals that this little rally is coming to an end and we're going to move to the downside. But the other thing that is concerning me is that we have broken through the alligator, and at the same time we've got some bit of a crossover on the 4 hour alligator. So it's not entirely convincing for me at the moment. Okay, there's a big inverse head and shoulders that could be forming here as well. That neckline is pretty much on 10,668. Okay, so yeah, so I'm not 100% convinced. It does look like a potential trend change on the 4-hour, but we did have a massive sell-off on the US markets just after the close. So when the Asian markets opened, Asia continued falling and the US market fell with it. So that could be happening. That could also happen to the Dow, sorry, to the Dax. Yeah, sorry guys, there's nothing clear here for me at the moment. There's just too many, it's kind of 50-50. The other thing that is concerning me is that this trend has broken. We've got a 4-hour close above it. We do have a gap at the moment. So let's see if there's something on the 12. Yeah, so I strongly suspect that 10,600, so long as we're staying below 10,600, so if we do gap down, I want to see a bounce back up to come and test 10,600. If that bounce comes up and we get some price action, so in other words, inside bars or pin bars or something off this level, I would consider a short, but it's going to be a really tight stop, and my stop is pretty much going to be 60 pips. So it'll be a 60 pip stop loss, and what we'll be looking for is pretty much this 4-hour oscillator to come back down to this area. Okay, so it could be as little as these inside tails here, or it could be something more sinister, somewhere around this inside tail here. So 10,350 or alternatively 10,485. Those are the two levels that I would see. There's a lot of congestion here as well, so that's something that you need to take into consideration. A lot of congestion. So in other words, you can expect quite a bit of buying and selling in this zone here as people try to figure out what they want to do. Okay, so in summary, I don't think this is something I'm going to be interested in today. It just, if I look at the lower time frames, there's merit for a trend continuation to the upside. Yesterday, the trend was pretty much up. So there is an opportunity for trend continuation to the upside. But there's also a story for a turnaround here and a move to the downside. So kind of 50-50 for me, so it's on the fence. So for me, when I'm not 100% convinced or don't have a stronger bias to the one side, I tend to stay out of the market. So that's me for the DAX today. Pretty much going to stay out of it because the move to the upside here, and obviously it all depends on what happens at the open, but this move, consolidation above the 200, above the alligator, a break above this fractal will target around 10,756. Okay, and obviously the fractal is that level there, which is 10,638, is it? Yeah, 10,638. Okay, so that's a story to the upside plus a potential head and shoulders, which would give us a higher target, but I'd like to see a pullback, bounce off this neckline and then move up. And then obviously to the downside, we have a fairly big rising wedge. Okay, so the rising wedge target would obviously be this fractal there. That's the first touch of the wedge, and that's the second touch of the wedge. So move to the downside is going to be 10,480 and 10,385. So that's kind of what I see. But for me at the moment, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 days of consolidation. So you could argue that it's pretty much top of range and bottom of range is going to be there. So short it down to the bottom here, and that's going to be around 10,485. That's kind of what I see. Okay. The only thing that's concerning me is the fact that we're above the alligator at the moment. So that creates a bit of doubt when it's on the 4 hour, especially on the 4 hour and the alligator is pointing up like this. Okay, so I would expect a pullback of sorts to come, maybe test the alligator before another move up, or a move to the downside. So until I see a clear signal, I think I'll stay out of the DAX. Okay, so that's the way I see it this morning. Not entirely convinced either way. So for me, rather sit in my hands. Anyway, guys, no, it doesn't help much, but I'd rather keep the money in the pocket. Anyway, enjoy the day. If you are going to trade it, keep those stops really tight. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Cheers for now.